What's up, guys? Welcome to Forge Master Metal Reviews, the place where you can get the most out of your metal releases. Musicians and fans alike, I am your co-host, Brandon.
It's Benfo here. Great to see all of you. Thanks for joining us. It's that time of year where we round up all of our favorite metal albums by subgenre, and this time we're hitting the deserted wilderness for some doom metal.
Make sure to follow us on Spotify. The link is in the description so you can get all of these playlists and check out these bands. And hey, if you like content like this, hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us to continue to bring you more content like this.
It's time to explore the human conditions of lethargy, grief, and trauma. Let's get into our best doom metal picks of 2021 so far.
Acid Mammoth, Caravan, released March 5th on Heavy Psych Sounds Records. Holy hell, this album has a killer atmosphere to it. First of all, this is a stoner doom album that runs only just over 40 minutes, and all I have to say is, fucking finally. Stoner doom is absolutely flooded with bloated songwriting and riffs that can be cut in more than half. Fucking sue me over, I don't give a shit what you think. I digress, but this is my first run with Acid Mammoth, and their fourth album, Caravan, left me very excited to see where stoner doom could go from here. This album is largely what you would expect, lumbering and lurkingly slow, but the addition of that darker atmosphere was something that I latched onto and revisited multiple times. This is a genre to just zone out to during times of productivity. And another very cool thing I noticed throughout my journeys with Caravan were the drum performances of Marios Louvaris all over the record. He's by far my favorite part of the band, extremely creative and thought-provoking drum rhythms and textures that float over all of the simple riffing and passages. I caught new things upon every listen. It's fairly rare, and actually maybe this is the first time that a stoner doom band has written an album that genuinely has very catchy tunes that get stuck into my head. This album is a tight listen, and although I don't think that they have perfected their sound yet, they are onto something completely fantastic here. 4 out of 5 Mammoths.
What more do I really need to say about Hanging Garden Skeleton Lake? It's an awesome record, and if you haven't checked it out already, I did a full-blown review for this album just a few weeks ago. The link above my head will take you directly there. Watch it for my full review and score.
Soothsayer, Echoes of the Earth, released April 9th on Transcending Obscurity Records. When I first heard Echoes of the Earth, I really wasn't sure what to think. I don't typically go for fuzzed out doom, and especially that kind of doom with tons of experimentation and weirdness, but there's something about Echoes of the Earth that just fucking works. It's delightfully weird and experimental, and Ireland's Soothsayer deem themselves an atmospheric sludge band, and I think that they nail their brand of that genre. The album is overwhelmingly primitive, twisting and turning with huge guitar riffs that are packed to the brim with anxiety during some sections, and other vocally intense parts are just supported by simple, massive wall of guitar tone and a slow, lurking presence. The production on this record is also very strange, but I love it. It's definitely unique, and it has a ton of grit in the string sections, and there's random keyboard samples and sounds that are littering the stereo field during some slamming breakdown riffing parts. The album really shines for me with the vocals. There is so much emotion in the harsh vocals supported by the heaviness of the band that I kept returning to Soothsayer over and over. This album fucking rules. Definitely check it out, but be warned, it's really, really weird. 4.5 out of 5 Burning Castles.
Omination's NGR has been a really monumental album. This Tunisian-based band has completely changed how I look at funeral doom. This album has had a phenomenal journey here at Forge Master Reviews, where it has quickly gone from an underground spotlight highlight to one of my favorite doom metal albums of all time. Yeah, it escalated pretty quickly. So it should be no surprise that here it is again. NGR is holding fast in its place as being one of the best albums of the year so far. This whole record feels like you're attending a homily that is being sermonized by a trio of monks that are bearing the truth of an impending apocalypse upon your people. You are forced to witness the horrors of your future and prepare the funeral pyres of your family. This album is beyond engaging, it's captivating, and I have a very hard time saying that about any other funeral doom band. I've updated this score now, so I'm giving it 4.7 out of 5 tormented cult worshippers.
Dread Sovereign Alchemical Warfare released January 15th on Metal Blade Records. I love Primordial, easily one of my favorite extreme metal bands. And when I heard that vocalist Nemthianga started a new doom-tinged project under Dread Sovereign, I was beyond excited. I love their first few releases, and Alchemical Warfare was definitely one of my highly anticipated records of 2021, and holy shit, it does not disappoint. The album is absolutely stunning and holds immense power and weight behind those epic riffs, vocals, and song compositions. There's a ton of classic Doom vibes in Dread Sovereign. One of my favorite things is they mix some of those melodic Doom tropes that you hear from bands like Paradise Lost in that classic Doom sound. If you're missing Candlemass and Primordial, this is easily one of the best things that you can listen to scratch that itch. If I had to give one small criticism though, I do feel like some of the songs could have been trimmed to the fat in some of the riff repetitions. It's something that Primordial also struggle with as well, so I guess it's not too surprising that it kind of made it over into Dread Sovereign. This is Doom though. Songs are supposed to be long epic journeys into the worlds of the riff with epic vocal hooks, so I digress. Definitely pick up this record if you love epic traditional Doom. It is easily one of the best Doom albums of the year, and will probably be on the end of my year list 2021. 4.5 out of 5 Unstable Potions.
Swedish Cult of Luna are considered godfathers in the post-sludge and doom scene. For 20 years, this band has been blowing the minds of their listeners with powerful studio albums that draw from doom, sludge, and hardcore. Back in February, Cult of Luna put out The Raging River, a 38.5-minute long EP that has stood up along many of its competitors in the realms of the low and slow. There are moments on this album that are still and peaceful as you are carried along the serene portions of the Raging River, but it isn't long before you're pulled into the sonic tidal pools that are the devastating riffs coming from the guitar section of Cult of Luna. I really love the vocal production on this album. The vocals sound like they're directly in your face. You half expect to be covered in the singer's spit by the time that you're through the Raging River. This album gets 5 out of 5 Whitewater Rafters, one of my favorites from this year. This has really held its own for the last 4 months.
Sinamort, The Idle Veil, released March 30th on Independent. We love independent bands on here, and yes, an independent Doom band made it on our final list. Everyone who watches this channel knows that we love that golden era of 90s Doom that included bands like My Dying Bride, Catatonia, Amorphis, and October Tide, to name a few. Sinamort was an extremely surprising album to me. The production is raw, the performances feel very stripped down and vulnerable and almost live. And one thing I loved about the record is they seem to keep a lot of the mistakes and keep the honest and organic feel of the music, and that was really refreshing to hear in the age of Pro Tools, where everybody fixes every single goddamn thing to the point of where it isn't even human anymore. Hailing from Kaunas, Lithuania, the band experiments with some surprising sounds on this record that create interesting atmospheres, ranging from beautiful clean sections with spoken word to brutal harsh vocals and chunky guitars led by slamming drums. The band label themselves as a progressive death doom band, and I think that's a fantastic way to describe them. For all of the imperfections on the album, I enjoyed the hell out of my time with The Idle Veil. This is definitely a must-have Death Doom album of the year if you love that sad boy metal. 4.5 out of 5, Harrowing Forests.
Russian doomsters Crust are on their 3rd album in as many years, and I really love the direction that their April 2nd release, Stoic, went in. Despite being backed by RUMF Records, this release came out pretty quietly. There was hardly any fanfare about it. Stoic is more akin to an Isis or Cult of Luna record with its massive riffs, shouted vocals, and a feeling of emptiness, lethargy, and dread. there's a strong variety on this record, while never straying from its roots of being grounded in slimy, toxic sludge and doom metal. Simple black metal inspired songs like A Blind Man in Darkness really showcase the band's way of being heavy as fuck while still maintaining catchiness and groove. This is a great album that has certainly stood up over the course of the last few months. Will it still be around at the end of the year? Well, we'll see. But for now, this is a great record and gets an updated score from me, 4.6 out of 5 blind beggars.
Sepulcros, Vazio, released March 12th on Transcending Obscurity Records. I've said it before on so many videos, I'm gonna keep saying it. Transcending Obscurity Records are a label that you absolutely need to be paying attention to if you haven't yet. They have consistently been putting out some of the most unique and horrifyingly beautiful death and doom records over the last few years. Funeral doom, I will admit, is not typically a doom genre that I visit very often. When a band crafts a bottomless pit of despair and depravity like Sepulcros has, this record is just gonna gain my attention like it has. Hailing from Portugal, Sepulcros have created an album that is overwhelmingly dark and oppressive, with 6 absolutely crushing and devastating doom tracks, clocking in just under 40 minutes. I think my favorite part of this album is the production. The album feels lo-fi without sacrificing power, and that's really hard to do, and it's made this filthy and unclean ambience throughout the album that makes it feel like its tendrils are seeping into your brainstem. The riffs are infectious and evil. Everything is expertly crafted. The album is monumental too as a debut record, so do not sleep on this if you like bands like Disembowelment or Atramentus. They have a ton of really cool merch on their Bandcamp. Grab something, show these guys some love. They absolutely deserve it. 4.7 out of 5 monoliths. What are your favorite doom metal albums of 2021 so far? Let us know in the comments below.
As always, go with the gods, our Forge Master brethren. Stay human, stay resilient. See you next time.